In this section I am going to talk about custom directives. So let's create a new folder for that. cp -r 14 headers 15 custom directives. So this is our folder, and let's run it also inside a local server. So it's running on port 8080, localhost 8080. It's working fine. Now let's try to understand what are custom directives. So inside say home.html, we have used a lot of directives, right? Like ng class, ng click, ng show, ng hide, right? ng repeat, ng click. So they are all inbuilt directives which give some functionalities to this view, to this adds basically some functionalities to this HTML, to the view. And now we'll create some custom directives, our own directives, and let's start with an example. So in this case the rating is just 3, just a numeric number, and at a lot of places you must have seen rating displayed as stars, right? So they are, for example, if the rating is 3, they are like 3 dark stars and 2 light stars, and you can click on the stars to update the ratings, right? So we'll create some widget like that, and we'll do that using a directive. To create a directive, let's create a folder to hold the directives. And let's create our next directive, create our first directive example. Let's call it star widget.js, okay. And something like filter, we create our directives like bookcard.directive, the name of the directive, star widget, and a function as usual. And this unlike filter, it returns an object. So this is called directive definition object, right? And this will basically define the directive. So I'll talk more about it. First of all, since we have a new JavaScript file, we'll add it here as an entry. Directives star widget.js, right? Let's come back to our star widget. The first key I'm going to describe is template. Stars will come here, something like this. So if I refresh, yeah, so this now since we have created a directive, we need to use it also. Let's go to home.html. So instead of book.rating, here we will use the directive which we just created, and you know how to use directives, right? So we'll use it on a span star, and there is the name of the directive is star capital W widget. So since HTML is case insensitive, which means capital TD and small td are same, capital div and small div are same, to cater to that case insensitive nature of HTML, the name of the directive, when you use the directive, you use it as hyphen separated instead of camel case. So star capital W widget converts to star hyphen widget, right? Something like ng hyphen click, right? So star hyphen widget. So if I refresh, yeah, you can see stars will come here. So this is happening because of our directive. right? So you got an idea of template. We can also create a we can also give a template URL instead of template and move it to templates, and let's give the path to template here, templates slash star widget.html, new file star hyphen widget.html, and paste it here. Stars will come here. So if I refresh, it's no more there. The spelling is wrong, it's templates. Yeah, now stars will come here, has come. So you got the idea of template URL. The second key is link. It's a function. Uh, it has three. It is called by this directive with three parameters: scope, element, and attributes. So the names can be different. So basically, this is a callback. So when this directive is loaded, this function is called, and this scope basically points to the parent scope. For example, in this case, it is used here, right? Span star widget. So the controller for this view is book controller. So this scope points to dollar scope of book controller. So if I print console.log scope dot maybe book, so it will print the book object 4 times, because this directive is used four times, once for each book, or maybe even more than that. So if I refresh, so for each book it has printed scope.book, right, author, right? So basically this has an access to the parent. This scope object points to, this refers to dollar scope of book controller, and hence while in the loop this book is there on dollar scope, so it is available here also, right? And this template or template URL and this function, so they almost behave something like this is a controller for this view. So this acts like a view and this acts like a controller which has a scope object, right? So for example, if I write scope dot message equal to stars, so inside the template, if I print message which is on dollar scope, which is on scope, sorry, so actually it tends to cache the templates, directive templates, the local server which I have run, HTTP server. So I need to clear that, localhost 8080 slash templates. So I need to refresh it. Yeah. So I can see 3 stars. So this message has come. So I'll reiterate. So this behaves as if it is a controller and it's a view, and this is the scope. This is the glue between this controller and this view. Now since book is on scope, so that is available in the template also. So if I go to the template and print book, so I can, first I need to reload the template, and yeah, so I can print the whole book here, right? Similarly, I have an access to rating also. Yeah, I can print book dot rating as well. So the rating is printed. Now since we have the rating, let's draw the stars now. So scope dot stars equal to empty array. So now I'm going to convert this 3 into an array of 11100, 2 into array of 11000, so that again I can convert that array into nice looking stars. So I'll run a for loop where I equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus, and scope dot stars dot push. First I will find out whether to push 1 or 0, where star equal to if I less than scope dot rating, then it is 1, otherwise 0. Okay. So if the rating is 3, then for I equal to 0, 1 and 2 it will be 1, and for 4 and 5 it will be 0. So it looks fine. So I'll push the star, and in the HTML let me just print this stars array. If I go here, if I refresh, so it's all 0. Maybe scope dot book dot rating. So 3 gets converted to 1100, right? So it looks fine. Now I'll try to convert this stars array to stars, to actual stars. So we can do something like span ng repeat equal to star in stars, and then print the star. Okay. So if I refresh, let me refresh the if I refresh, I see some error. So that is happening because of dupes. So if inside an array, if you do ng repeat and they are duplicate elements, you will get this array ng repeat dupes. So the solution for that is track by $index. So if I reload, so I see 11100. So the stars are printed one by one. And now here I can do something like this. If star is 1, so if it is 0, it will evaluate to false. Then print ampersand hash code for stars. So let me look for it. HTML character code for star. Yeah, it is 9733 and 9734. 9733. Otherwise, if it is false, then 9734. So if I refresh, 9744. What was that? 9734. HTML character code for star. It's 9734. Ampersand hash, I missed the hash. Yeah. If I refresh, so I can see stars here, right? Looks nice. So instead of 3 or 2, I can see nice looking stars. Now, so for three stars are there. Now let's add a feature of updating the stars. So when I click here, so this should update. When I click on the fifth star, then it should become 5, right? Also, if I increase the rating from here, uh, this is updating, that is working fine. So if I increase the rating from here, so this is increasing. So basically, whenever you create a directive, so you have to comply with the basic principle of Angular, which is two-way data binding. So when the data in the controller changes, so the view should update itself, and if the view changes, the data in the controller update itself. So it is almost like ng model for stars. So so generally there are three steps. First is initial rendering. Second is one way of two-way data binding, and step 3 is other way of two-way data binding. So these are the three basic steps whenever you create a directive. So one way is if I click here, so this should change, right? And if I change this rating, the star should update. So 3 is happening, and let's take care of step 2. So if I click on the star, so this number should update itself. So let's add a ng click then to capture the click event. Ng click equal to uh, let's say update, the name of the function, let the function be update stars, right? And inside the widget we need to have a function scope dot update stars, sorry, equal to function. So we need to pass something to know which star was clicked, right? So let's come back to HTML and pass the index. So inside the loop, so there are some helper variables. So $index is one of them, and here also I have done track by $index. So this is 0 for first book to 1 for second, something like that. Or in this case, 0 for first first element in the loop, 1 for second element, right? So this is the index of the loop, and I'll pass it here, receive it here. Now I'll draw everything again. So let's copy this, paste this, or we can wrap this code inside a function so that we can reuse it. Function draw stars, takes the rating and draw stars. I'll cut it, paste it here, and then call it draw stars on scope dot book dot rating. And in case of update stars, I'll call draw stars on index plus 1, because index starts from 0 and rating starts from 1. So if I click on 0th index, it means 1 star, right? So let's see if things work. So if I click here, the click event, ng click is, let me see ng click is working or not. Ng click equal to update stars index, and in scope update stars is a function. Let's debug it. Let's see if yeah, it's getting clicked. Draw stars is getting called with index +1. So then maybe this is happening because of this. Let me take this out. Initially, let's have it as if I click on it, yeah, sorry, I'm not using this rating here. That was happening because of this line. So it is hard coded as scope.book.rating, not with the function parameter. So it works here, and now it will also work here. Yeah. So if I click here on 5, it becomes 5, it becomes 1, it becomes 2, it becomes 3. Right? So when I click here, I also need to update this stars, the one-way or two-way data binding. So after drawing stars, I will also update the rating. Scope.rating equal to index +1, right? So I need to reload the template. Now it is working. So if I click, so this should update scope dot sorry for the typo, book dot rating. Yeah. So if I click here, so this updates and ng class works and everything has become so dynamic, right? And if I decrement it, so this happens automatically. Happening automatically. So sometimes you need to take care of step 3 also in case of some of the directives. So we'll see some cases. So now, so we have created a very nice directive which has two-way data binding also. Now, so do you see any problem with this directive right now? Yes, there is a problem because it is not that decoupled or not that free or not that independent from the controller. So this is dependent on controller scope. For example, if I want to use this directive star widget at some other place with some other controller, right? So then it will need an object book on that controller because it's referring to that scope.book. So if it is, for example, a blog post or something, then it will not work, right? So we can make it highly independent. So there is a third key called scope, right? So by default it is false. So when you declare it with an object, so this scope no more points to the parent scope, no more refers to the parent scope, the reference is broken, and this is our new scope, and it receives whatever you send it to it. For example, if I do item equal to, which means in home.html, now I need to send it some item equal to, here I can say book, right? So coming back, so if I write something like this, then the scope doesn't points to the controller. So scope dot book dot rating will not work, so I can show you. So it is saying rating of undefined, right? So scope dot book is no more accessible. However, scope dot item is accessible. So this is the new scope, and it is also called isolated scope. And inside scope dot item, what is there? Book, because we have passed it like this, item equal to book. So this item is same as this. So instead of scope dot book, we have to write scope dot item at both the places, right? Scope dot item, and let's see if things work. Yeah, two-way data binding is working, everything is working, and now this directive has become independent of the controller. So this scope is no more referring to that controller scope, and hence it is decoupled with that. It is a new scope, and here whenever you want to use this directive, you have to pass your object. So now I can pass a post object, blog post object, which has a rating, right? So this has become independent of the place it is being used. So this happened because of the concept of isolated scope. One more thing, if we want it to make it further independent, further decoupled, so instead of getting a item, we can also take a points, something like points, right? So in case there is an object which does not have rating, it has a priority, right? Suppose there is a to do item to do which has a priority, then it will not work. This directive cannot be used because it doesn't have rating, right? Item dot rating. So instead of that, we can directly take points, right? And instead of scope dot item dot rating, we can write scope dot points, and in the HTML we need to send points as book dot rating. So it makes it further independent. Now we can use this star widget directive with any type of object which has rating or priority or anything. So let me show you. Scope dot points equal to let's see if it is coming or not. Scope console.log points is not defined. Scope dot points. So yeah, it is coming. Okay, I missed AS. Yeah, so everything is working back, and this directive is much more reusable than before. Yeah. So this is the concept of this is the isolated scope, right? So similar to similar to sending objects, you can also send strings. For example, color, and if you want to send strings, you have to send it like this, color and @sign, and from here home.html points equal to this and color equal to say blue. So in this case it will not look for an object blue, but it will just send this blue as a string. So inside star widget, if I do scope.color, I will get the string blue, not the object with the name blue, which is different from points, right? So if I write here, so points scope.points become the string, book.rating, the string book.rating, not the value of book.rating. So that is the difference. So I'll make it back to equal to, and color is at the rate. Now we can use color also. For example, here we can use it in style equal to background color or not background color and color. Let's see if things work. Yeah, now we have a blue star, right? We can also change it to some other color. For example, if I go to home.html, if I make it green, so now we have a green star, right? So much control we have now, right? So this is such a nice reusable widget, right? The way you use directives, so this is basically a attribute directive. We can also use it as a element directive. So it will become something like this, star widget, right? So this is an element directive, so this also works fine. So let's see. Works fine. Sometimes when you use element directive, so since this does not have any default style, so div does have, span does have, it does not have any default style. So sometimes you might need to go to CSS and give it a style, but here it works fine, right? So this is the element directive, and the earlier uses was of attribute directive. You can also restrict. So there are a lot of other keys also. I won't go to detail right now. So there are other keys also, like restrict E. So then this directive can only be used as an element directive. Or if I do restrict EA, then this directive can only be used as element or attribute. There are other ways also in which directives can be used, and those are class and comments, right? Class as in div class equal to directive name. In this case, div class equal to star widget, something like that. So this there are other minute details there, but overall concept I have explained. So you can further go deep into directives API or directive documentation on Angular's website, but more or less I have explained the concepts. So I hope the concept of custom directives is clear. We'll further look into directives in next chapter, the advanced concepts.